Wonderful. Thank you, Mallory. So I mentioned at the outset that this is a really exciting day. We're launching our GrantWell tool, which is an artificial intelligence tool that is the culmination of a couple of years worth of work that we've done here in the Federal Funds and Infrastructure Office. And I just want to sort of set the stage a little bit. If you could move to the next slide. As many of you know, when we first launched the Federal Funds Partnership and this office, this initiative, one of the really important things to us was trying to understand what are the challenges that cities, towns, tribes, and other partners face in accessing resources from the federal government and in moving forward these really important projects in our communities. And one of the ways that we did that was through this Federal Funds Partnership meeting. But another way that we did that was to go out into communities all across Massachusetts. And I thank many of you on this call for hosting us in your communities. To listen and learn about what were the opportunities, what were the challenges, and how could we help. If you can move to the next slide, through the course of that process, and with help initially from the Harvard Kennedy School Field Lab, and also with support from UMass Boston's Collins Center, we derived certain lessons. Certain things came up over and over again from our conversations with our communities. And one of them was really the challenge that folks, particularly in smaller communities, particularly in communities that have historically been underserved, but actually communities all across Massachusetts, faced in identifying the federal funding opportunities that were most appropriate, understanding what the program requirements were, and in many instances, doing the hard early work of applying for those grants. We also heard a lot about coming up with resources for matching funds and for technical assistance. As a result of that, in partnership with the legislature, we developed a program. The legislature gave us some resources. We've rolled out some matching fund processes that many of you have known about. We launched the technical assistance programs that I talked about earlier. We're in the process of developing some lending tools. But one really key thing that we heard over and over again was that we need more tools to help folks apply for resources. If you could move to the next slide. We have been an administration that has been working across a number of our agencies and a number of our use cases to employ technology to support our communities. Just last week, the Healey-Driscoll Administration launched a new AI tool that we're using within the executive branch of the state government, which is very exciting. And we've partnered with the Burn Center at Northeastern on a number of different projects to try to make government work better for everyone in Massachusetts. And so the GrantWell tool comes out of that conversation, a really robust conversation that we've had. Anjith and his colleagues at the Burn Center were with us every step of the way as we went on our community roadshow, engaged with a number of you in communities all across Massachusetts in developing it. And we're really excited to launch it today. If you move to the next slide, GrantWell is a new tool that was developed by the Commonwealth in partnership with the Northeastern Burn Center. That is an AI-powered tool to assist communities seeking and applying for funding opportunities. The first use case was federal funding opportunities, and we can scrape grants.gov and then on an automated basis identify those opportunities, but we've also started to incorporate some of the most frequently used state grants, and over time would like to incorporate some additional charitable grants as well. And my colleague Anjith is going to walk you through a demo of this tool and tell you how you can access it. But at the top level, what GrantWell seeks to do is help people who have projects that you want to move forward, identify what are the funding opportunities, learn what the requirements of those funding opportunities are in terms of deadlines, in terms of application parameters, and then begin the process of populating a grant application for those grants. And before I turn it over to Anjith, first of all, I want to thank Anjith. I want to thank the Burns Center. They've been really terrific partners all the way through. The FFIO team has spent a lot of time on this, and I want to give a particular shout out to Mallory Strain, who you just heard from, to Mehar Jauhar, and to everyone on our team who has spent a lot of energy developing this tool. My hope is that other states are going to take it up as well. And that this, like so many other things that come out of Massachusetts, can be a national model that others can build on. But with that, I'd love to turn it over to Anjith to walk you through the GrantWell tool.
Thank you so much, Quentin. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Is it visible?
Looks great.
Perfect. So yeah. Hi, my name is Anjith. So I'm an AI for Impact Fellow at the Burns Center at Northeastern. So as he mentioned, GrantWell was born through the partnership between the federal funds and the Infrastructure Office and Burns Center's AI for Impact team. So when we first started, we assumed that the main issue was the grant writing itself. So naturally, we thought, let's just build an AI tool to help write the grants. That should solve it, right? But once we got into the field, we realized that the problem was much bigger than just writing. So with the early version of the tool, we had the opportunity to join the FFIO team on the statewide roadshows across Massachusetts, where they were working directly with the municipalities to help them identify and pursue the funding opportunities tied to infrastructure, climate, and economic development. So this was a really turning point for us. In those sessions, we sat down with the local officials, municipal leaders, and the community organizations. We listened, we heard directly about the real barriers they face when trying to access the funding opportunities, which are like limited staffing capacity, the complex requirements, the long no-code documents, and the uncertainty about if they are even active currently. So from those conversations, three clear needs emerged. The first one was identifying the grants. Before writing even begins, communities struggle to identify which opportunities were relevant in a large fragmented funding landscape. The next one was developing the grants. So once they find a grant, they have to go through the long no-code documents filled with detailed and sometimes very confusing instructions from eligibility to submission requirements. And then comes the challenge of actually writing a compelling application with limited time and staffing capacity. It wasn't just about drafting, it was about navigating the entire process. So that's where we realized that AI could actually make an impactful by not actually replacing the people, but by reducing the friction. So we evolved GrantWell. Instead of throwing AI at the problem, we focused on solving the real pain points the communities described. So GrantWell is an AI-powered platform designed to help Massachusetts communities to pursue funding opportunities more effectively, especially for the under-resourced and underserved municipalities that may usually lack the time or the capacity to navigate complex grant opportunities. So our goal is pretty simple: simplify the grant process so that every city and town, regardless of their size or internal capacity, has a very fair shot at competing. On the user feedback, we built the features like the NOFO summarization, a context-aware chatbot, and a fully guided grant build tool. I'll be walking through each of these in the demo. So I can give you a quick walkthrough of the tool here. Yeah. So as I said, currently the platform brings together primarily the federal funding opportunities along with a set of key state grants. We know that the universe of the state grant is still limited, and we are trying to expand the coverage, which is what we are actively working on. So at the foundation, we built an automated system that pulls the funding opportunities directly from the public sources and ingests them into a database. So instead of communities searching across multiple websites, or GrantWell just centralizes all these structures in one place. So from here, users can browse the funding opportunities available in the GrantWell through a searchable table. So this table is designed to make it easier to move through a large set of opportunities. So the users can review the grants in one place, narrow them down into like filters using the categories what we have, the agencies, or even the grant types. Uh, Grant will also automatically flags when a grant deadline has passed, so the expired opportunities are still clearly labeled. So this helps them focus their attention on grants that are still active and relevant. At the same time, we know that many communities do not usually begin the search with a specific grant in their mind. They often start with a need. For example, we need to upgrade our wastewater system, or we are trying to expand the rural broadband system, or we want to launch a workforce training program. So here we are developing a feature where users can simply describe their use case in plain language. So instead of searching by grant name or agency, they describe their project goals, the scope, or the intended impact. From there, GrantWell looks into this use case and match it against our full federal grant database to show the most relevant funding opportunity. So instead of asking, is this grant right for me? We kind of flip the model and ask, given the project, which grants are the best fit? The community shouldn't have to decode the federal funding ecosystem to know where they fit. They should just describe what they're trying to build, and the system does the mapping for them. So once a NOFO is selected, so here I'm just going to go for an EDA disaster supplement. So once this is selected, the summarization feature breaks down, which is often a 40 to 50 page NOFO, and extracts the most important sections, like the eligibility criteria, the required documents which are needed to apply for these grants, the narrative sections which need to be written in the project narrative, and the key deadlines. Usually there are like a million deadlines in the NOFO, and it's pretty hard to keep track of those. So we kind of summarize these for them. This allows the users to like quickly understand whether a grant is a good fit before investing significant time. What we have next is a chatbot with which you can ask any sort of clarifying questions grounded directly in the source document. For example, I'm going to ask, what is the cost share of this grant? So here, the response is only based on the NOFO content. So users can quickly navigate the complex requirements without manually scanning through the dozens of pages. So here you can see is up to 80% and 20% would be the non-federal match. So you can easily get the answers, what you're looking for. Now we can move on to the grant writing tool itself. So here users usually enter the project specific data with the selected NOFO, and the system guides the users to the structured questionnaire, which is aligned specifically to that NOFO and generates a tailored draft. So here you can enter the project name. For example, you are from New Bedford. So you can enter the details like, I'm just going to split it some with some mock data, New Bedford Harbor Climate Resilience, City of New Bedford, 800, New Bedford, and I'm going to enter a zip code as well. John Doe. So once you're done with your project basics part, then you will be getting the question, as I said. So these questions are very specific to the sections you have to be writing. So a question I usually get is, whenever you answer these questions, wouldn't the answers that different cities give be similar and the final grant will be similar? So what we have done here is these questions are very specific to the needs and the story of your city or your state. So what happens here is it will be very customized for it so that it will be very different when it comes to the final product. So here I have added some data, extra data here. So I'll be showing a filled out version of this. So here, as you can see, I have filled out the whole part. And once you have filled out these answers, you can add any additional information. So if you have any supporting documents, such as your older grant or any supporting materials, you can just upload those, which would give it more context to write the grant itself. And then once you do this, you can create the grant. So it usually takes around 45 seconds to 1 minute. So in interest of time, I'm just going to load up a draft which was already generated. So here is the generated draft. As you can see, the sections are written here with the data which I have given. So different sections has been written, has been filled up the whole thing. And yeah, so something I would like to say here always is this doesn't replace the human judgment. It just gives the team a strong starting point, especially for municipalities with limited staffing capacity. And here, users can just edit, review, and refine. And they can also export the application as a PDF or a docx format, from which they can take it out, they can do any modifications, and then go ahead and do your submission. So with GrantWell, communities can reduce the time spent navigating these complex federal documents, increase the submission readiness, and improve the access to federal dollars. At the same time, I'm going to say this is an evolving tool. We are working continuously to improve it. User feedback is very important part of this process. So if you encounter any issues, have any suggestions, we encourage you to share them with us. It is also important to note that GrantWell is an AI supported tool, so it is not a substitute for the grant writing process. So users should always review and cross-reference the outputs with the original grant requirements before submitting an application. And ultimately, this matters because the smaller municipalities deserve the same opportunity to compete for the funding as a larger, better resource cities. And GrantWell is all about leveling that playing field. Thank you so much.